like 6. Get it done 6 to 8 or something like that. So I'm just thinking
I'm good with that.
That's fine with me.
6 to 8 on the 17th. Make that motion. Can you do that, Justin? I saw you looking up.
Give me 1 second. I think I can. Give me 1 sec. Is there any Andre? Do you think Andre will have any issue with that?
I don't know for sure. I'll touch base with him. I'll send him a text now, but let him know that I would keep him apprised of the date. He didn't mention any restrictions to me, so.
Who were we going to have from the city mayor that you think would be relevant to? Do we have Mr. Knott to answer legal questions? Are you available?
Yes.
Is that okay with you? Yeah, because I could see people saying, you know, I think a lot of the suggestion will be go after the violators, but try to accommodate others. And I'd like our legal advisor here just to tell us, yeah, we can or can't, or what sort of crafty legislative tools we might be able to draft to satisfy both wants and needs.
I don't know if I can be here that day.
Okay. Is it tentative, like you could find out later, or can we tentatively schedule it now? Or?
Yeah, I'd like to make sure Andre is available too, so could we call you? Would you rather be here? Could we call you? Oh, no, I'd rather be here for this discussion, but if I'll see what I can do. I mean, we can schedule it if you want. If I'll figure it out. If I
I mean,
can't,
it's just the first one. It's not, I mean, we may do others, but
yeah,
why don't we do it? Because otherwise we move it, it's going to be somebody else and somebody
fine.
else, somebody
Yeah,
else.
Get into vacation.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll be in town. I just have other things on this calendar that day, so.
Are we looking at 6 to 8?
6 till TBD, I would imagine.
Yeah, 6 till 8, that should be enough, yeah. For a first work session, you know.
Can we also clarify, is this staying in committee, a committee work session? Or is it usually traditionally city council's one that holds the work session?
I think a committee can have it and open to the public. Keep it in committee for now.
Yeah, it should stay in committee.
I mean, until it's ready to go to regular council.
So can we all be here then? If it's not a council.
Yeah. No, it's a work session. We're not voting
Yeah, we're
on it.
not
All right.
winning numbers. We just want to have all the stakeholders want to kind of have a say, be here.
Because it's a public meeting. We're doing it public.
Okay.
I think we're all on the same page. Getting the right law in place that doesn't ensnare everybody versus ensnaring the people we want to change their behavior, so. And getting crafty about it with our legislation.
So next Monday.
So it sounds like, yeah, for the first one, that'll be the first one. If we need another one, we'll schedule another one.
Send Andre a text. I'll confirm.
I'll make that motion to schedule that meeting from 6 to 8.
A motion and a second for Monday, June 17th at 6 p.m. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none. All right, item B, discuss sale of 1 acre of Thomas Heritage Park to Tower Co. for cell tower site. Mr. Mayor.
Bardo, I brought this forth a month or so ago, and council had some questions, and I sent the response back that we got back from Brian and sent it to council, and then council had asked why the law department was against was against signing the long-term lease, and then I think there was at least 10 items on there that David had went over and supplied them to the council, and I would like council to move forward, and the verbal agreement we have right now, which will be put into the form of an ordinance, is that they will pay for the survey, they will pay for the fencing, there'll be no cost to the city to make this transaction. We get about, what was it, $18,000 a year, Matt?
Yeah, roughly 17, 18.
around $18,000 a year. We would get a $280,000 payment up front. That's basically what, 16 or 17 years of payments. And it is, because of the way that the ordinance was written before, that money has to be put back into the parks account. And we felt that using that 280 to defer some of the cost of Miracle Lane would be a good investment on that. So I'm asking council to consider selling the 1 acre, the 1 acre of land to Tower Co. And we can move forward.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any questions from anyone on council or discussion? Mr. Ring?
Thank you. So I've thought about this a bit over the last couple days, actually. So the options that we were kind of presented with were a long-term easement or selling it. But I still don't understand what's wrong with just where the status quo. I mean, we're in a lease. We make $18,000 a year. We'll continue to make that in perpetuity or until they cancel the lease or move. If they're willing to buy the property for $280,000, I'm assuming they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So all we're doing is taking money out of our pocket, to be honest, after 17 years. You know, if they're there for another 40, we're giving up, you know, another couple $100,000. So what's wrong with the third option and just keeping it as it is?
Well, what is that $18,000 going to be worth in 17 years or 18 years?
Well, but that goes up. Every 5 years, we get a 12.5% increase on the.
Not a 12.5%.
Yeah, Mr. Knott, isn't that what you said?
Yes, actually,
It is
12.5% increase on the rent. So we get inflation on that too. So
Well, we'll be getting property taxes off it too.
sure.
And we're not getting anything off of it right now. We're getting that $18,000, the $17,000 or $18,000 we get now. I mean, we will basically be paid 18 years up front. And we can use that money now to defer the cost to improve the park. And I don't see a downside to this other than we want to keep collecting rent for 20 years. The way I look at it, get rid of it. Collect property taxes on it. Let them maintain the property.
We 12.5% every 5 years? Yes.
This lease renews in 2026.
Yes.
If
Let me,
one of us cancel it.
Mr.
I
Ham?
just had a question about the property. Do we have any idea of how much the property tax would be on the 1 acre?
Undeveloped land.
It would depend on how much they assess the property for.
I think before making a decision, it'd be nice to know kind of an estimate of that. So then that way, if we get the 280,000 up front plus, whatever every year, like it might make up for what we'd be losing. But I can't imagine it's
You're
going to
going to
be that
get
much.
property tax on it. I don't know. I don't know if they include the value of the tower on the property, which I imagine they would. But right now, a 1 acre unimproved lot in the city of Streetsboro goes for about $15,000. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it's worth. And if it was 15, say if they value it at $25,000, okay, 35% of that would be 2,500, 5,000, 7,500, right around $8,000 a year is what they'd be paying taxes on. We currently get about 70. Is it about 72 that our real Matt is our real value on taxes? Is it 72?
You're talking about your effective?
Yeah, the effective rate.
Yeah, it's like 70, somewhere between 72 and 70.
Okay, so if we're collecting taxes on 8,000 and the effective rate is 75, is about 75 mils, then you're talking we'll collect, the county and us will collect somewhere between $500 and $600 a year in taxes.
Yep, and then we get, what, about
5%
20% of that, or 5% of that, so
Yeah.
we're getting essentially nothing.
Okay. Ms. Glenn?
I was just curious, if the current lease runs through 2026, what's brought this up right now in 2024?
I think they just, it's that it's better, that it's better for them.
It was better the other way. It has to be up.
Better that they wanted to prepay their lease amount and be done with it, and just I don't know, it's their business model is what they've given us.
So maybe for tax reasons?
Yeah, probably so.
They're not going to do it if it's not beneficial to them. I mean,
Well, I'm sure, right, I was just
sure, it's more
curious.
beneficial to them than
The
it is
lease
to us.
renewal's 2 years out, I was just wondering.
Agree that it's more beneficial. We get 15 and a half years of rent up front that we have a good immediate need for that we can use to help us now. That $18,000 a year that we collect, it is nothing compared to $280,000 that we're going to get now.
Yeah, I don't look at it that way. I look at it as like, if I had a long-term stock, but I needed some money immediately and I sold it, and that stock, I sold it for $20,000 and it would have been worth, $500,000 20 years from now. I lost money, and that's how I see it. Whether I have a need for it now or not, I'm not there. I don't understand why we wouldn't want to continue to make money perpetually as long as we can on that property, as opposed to just a one-time payout that really doesn't do much for us aside from give us a lump of cash right now. That's my.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. I see both sides. I think I'm on the side of moving forward with it and collecting the money and doing something well for the city, since it is a lump sum of money. But that's where I'm at, Mr. Hannon.
Thank you, Mr. Lombardo. My question, Mr. Miller, Finance, Mr. Miller, I know that this money goes into a certain account. What do we generally use that money for right now?
We just do park improvements, whether we buy equipment, or that's pretty much their main source of revenue into that. It's the 403 fund.
And what's like the current balance of it? Do you have that information?
Yep,
If you don't have that available right now, that's fine, but I'm just curious, and I understand, I see both sides as well. I know it would be great to have the nearly $300,000. I know we have a lot of projects and stuff going on. I'm just curious if we use that money up front for, because I think it's mentioned in here, Miracle Lane, what does that cut off in the future for Greg's Parks and Rec Department?
Let you know in a few seconds here.
Fine. You can move on to if you want to call on someone else.
It cuts out $18,000 a year in general income for them.
Yeah, so that's what I'm curious about that. What are we going to lose? I mean, what are we going to make up that money for you guys?
Mr. Meiger?
Yeah, so about estimate $18,000 a year. If I remember right, I think there's about 52 in that account, but I could be wrong.
There's actually 125,000.
See, you give me wrong numbers all the time. Like a new mower is about, anywhere between, $24,000 to $28,000. So every 2 years we could buy a new mower, or it's, $40,000. We could, upgrade picnic tables, and it's more smaller projects. At the current rate, with 125, you could probably put a pavilion in somewhere or do something like that. But it's not a large generator for us, so it would have to build over time for us to be able to do a larger project.
Thank you, Mr. Meiger. What if we take the money and then just not allocate it for anything yet? I mean, I don't know how you feel, Mayor, about maybe collecting the money and then waiting and then seeing what exactly we think we should do with it instead of just allocating it right away for Miracle Lane?
My thought process is over the next couple of years, we have, because of the timing schedule, we have a lot of other major projects that are coming to fruition.
Yeah.
We've got to redo the square, which is going to be over $1 million. We've got to redo the intersection of 303 and 14 by Circle K. We've got to do 303 and Diagonal. Price Road is going to be in there. And, you know, we've even talked, we have our weekly 403 meetings and or 401 meetings, and we've even talked about taking a breath so that we can get caught up, so that we can get back on main roads. And I wanted to try and get Miracle Lane knocked out, because Miracle Lane is a very important crossroads for us. It goes all the way from the intersection by the elementary school all the way down to the culvert, and then it will take us all the way down to the parking lot. And right
It'll go
now,
all the way down to that back?
all the way down to the back. And right now that project is listed at about 550. I think it was somewhere north of $500,000.
It was around 500,000, but I don't think.
$280,000 would go a long way to deferring that cost. And we were contemplating pushing that project off, because we're trying to conserve where we can, but this would allow us to keep that project moving forward. And it would also give us, a much needed breather. $280,000 is a lot of money to put in our hands. And when we have a very worthy project that's going to last us more than 15 years, those roads, I think it's a good investment for us.
Mr. Hannon, and then.
Yeah, just to finish up my conversation from before was, obviously, Greg, you're the director of the Parks and Rec Department. If you feel that, over time that you guys can replace some of those funds to help for parks improvements, then that helps me make my decision. But, you made the point that over time it builds up and it's going to take a while, but we have 125,000 that's built up over time. If we didn't have that, you wouldn't be able to, buy the mowers and stuff like that. So, to me, like, I think it's nice to have that money coming in, because it's something that you don't have to kind of come to council for, to say, hey, where's this $30,000? I need to buy a new mower, or where's this at? I want to put a pavilion in. So, I mean, I'm torn on it, but I think Mr. Ring made a good point that how many hundreds of $1,000s are we going to give up if this thing's here for, 60 years? Or
I think it's everything after 14 years, if I did my math right. We're giving up everything after 14 years. Because it's going to go up 2,250 every 5 years. So I just averaged 20 grand.
Well, that'll compound too on.
Right, so I just added up to 20 grand, and basically it's a 14 to 15 year swing to where they pay nothing after 14 or 15 years except property tax, which will be nothing. Mm-hmm. And then we lose everything after 14. That's my problem with it. That's a lot of money to give up. And who knows what other technology they're going to hang on that tower later that may be worth more money. I don't know. And what do we lose? Do we lose anything if we give them the land to decide? What if someday future councils and residents decide they don't want the tower there anymore? They don't want to rent to them, so they don't renew their lease. And they do something with the park, like Cleveland Metro Parks or something, I don't know. I'm just thinking you lose that right if you give up that acre, what you can do around it. I don't know, it just seems like it's a guaranteed moneymaker for generations to come. And we're selling them, we're selling out their future income for 14 years. We may not be here, I won't be here, but I don't know if they would want us to give that up. I would think they would say no. You know what I mean?
Is there a guarantee that they're going to stick around for 20 years and that contract's going to stay there?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
they wouldn't be paying us 280 grand if they weren't.
Right.
Okay. Ms. McDaniel, do you have anything?
Yeah, just to look at it from another perspective beyond the financial aspect, I think it kind of feels like winning a small lottery. Wow, this amount of money is coming in, and that's exciting, and we have things we could use it for, but I think it's short-sighted. And also, when I was reading the response from the law department, a couple of things stuck out to me which gave me pause, and I'm going to say that I prefer to stick with the status quo at this time. But a few things I noted. If it were going forward with an easement, which none of us are interested in, a perpetual easement, some words used here were that I would limit this easement to existing technologies in order to allow the city to have some input on what is deployed there. Or, if we don't care, just sell the property outright. Well, I think we care. It's within our park. There's a future financially and technology-wise. And again, down here it says, again, because the technology is changing so rapidly, we are giving up important input as to what might be deployed from this tower in the future. And so that gave me pause. I think that's relevant. And in some conversations, it's my understanding that if we own it, we control it, but if we need money right now, we should sell it. And I don't think that's the route we should take. Even though it's exciting and we have ideas to use that money, I don't think it's the right choice. So I say continue as we have been at this time.
Okay, thank you, Ms. McDaniel. Is there any other comments? Ms. Glenn.
Mr. Knott, I was just curious, what does the current existing lease say about future technology, et cetera?
All that I'm aware that it says is that more users, for each user after the one we have now, we get $350 a month. It doesn't really go into any future technologies.
Okay.
Are they classified as a public utility?
Okay. Are there any more? Oh, go ahead, sir. Is there any more questions or comments from council this time? Okay. Speak your name and address for the record, please.
Paul Yoop, 8749 Seasons Road. I'm curious, is there a expiration, is there an end date to the current lease agreement? No. It's open-ended?
It's open until they cancel.
Open to up to the point that they would decide to remove the tower?
Right.
At that point?
Right.
It sure seems like if they're willing to pay that they have intentions of keeping the tower there for a while. That would be my impression. I don't know for how long or what, or, where the income would be, beyond that, how much more the city would make, but I don't think that they would offer that if they had intentions of taking that tower down in 5 years, I wouldn't think, or 10 years. And I took a look a little bit like online. There's people on forums that are asking about, getting towers in their property. Generally, they're 10 or 20-year leases. That's why I asked if this had an end date, whether you're able to renegotiate after that. But evidently, there's a 12% increase. And that's something that they said. They said generally there's like a 2 to 3% increase each year in them, and that 12% would fall in line with that. But it seems like in the long run, if the tower's there a long time, the city would eventually make more money on it than a sale right now. And one other question. If the city sells the property, what fund does the money go into?
It goes into that fund. That was by ordinance that the money would go into the 201 or 203.
It's the 403, right?
Okay, so then if it's in that fund, it wouldn't go towards, I know you mentioned a number of road projects, right?
Well, Miracle Lane is within.
Miracle Lane is, but
right.
You had mentioned like 303 interchange.
No.
So it couldn't be used for any of that.
Completely different, Paul.
All right, okay. So the only place
it can go is into the rec fund.
So I was a little bit confused when you start bringing up different road projects. I was thinking, if it can only be used for parks, then you can't use that money for a road project anyway. It can only.
No, that Miracle Lane project has to be funded out of the 401, out of our capital improvements right now. If we were to put that money into the 201, considering it is a parks improvement, we could take that money from the 201 to partially fund that project instead of taking all of the money out of the 401 account.
Okay.
Which would free up money in the 401 for other.
Right, I understand what he's saying now. It was a little bit confusing to me at first, but for now, we know that the money generally goes right to the parks, right? And for park improvement. Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming up and commenting. Mr. Matt Miller.
Thank you, just wanted to add a comment in regards to and council has recently received the most updated 5-year plan. And if we were to tackle Miracle Lane, we could not do that until 2026. There's just too much ODOT on the books that we've got for 2025. And the earliest that we could tackle something like Miracle Lane would be 2026. So I just want to make sure that that is used in the conversation in case it does get really bad there by the community center. I would not really have funding for that. We'd have to eliminate some of the ODOT projects, which I think more cars drive on 14 and 303 and 43 than they do on Miracle Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Any more discussion? Okay. 5, new business.
What am I doing?
Oh, go up, Mr. Mayor.
What am I doing?
Oh.
We want to move forward with the sale? I mean,
Well, I guess we can't really make a. We could say no or yes, but
right, so
if we
we-
have legislation, then we can officially vote on it, I guess.
Okay, so do we need to make a motion to do it or not do it at this point?
If someone wants to make the motion, they can.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm torn on. I mean, I see both sides, really. I mean, I think in the long term, we might make more money. I guess I'm kind of confused on what Mr. Miller just said, because if we do want to do Miracle Lane and we have this money, would this be going to that project? Or would...
That would be council's, we would bring an ordinance if you'd want to use the 403 fund.
If we do sell this, we could put it towards Miracle Lane and do that. But you're saying right now we couldn't do Miracle Lane because of other projects.
I want you to be aware, just the ODOT projects, because the ODOT projects total about 1.9 million for next year. I've got to have that in my
What's Miracle Lane total?
Miracle Lane. My initial estimates were about 442,000.
And they're offering 280.
280 plus the 120 is 400.
And
So
you
you'd
have too many
still
other
be a little
ODOT
short.
projects to do Miracle, we'd be short anyways.
Be a little short. Yeah, you'd have to do a transfer.
One of my other questions is if we have 125 and is the idea to use some of that other money to offset the cost of the project, or are we keeping that would we be keeping that for park improvements?
You'd essentially be draining that fund.
So you're taking all of Greg's money for
Take
everything
it all
else.
from.
I would not want to drain that from $125,000. Like he just said, a lawnmower is about
Yeah.
$25,000 to $30,000. There are things that we have to, that we have to replace, and I would not want to take the additional funding for Miracle Lane out of there. If we use the funding from the proceeds of the sale, we could probably still do the ODOT projects and Miracle Lane. But to have to put the whole $440,000 or $500,000 out of the 401 to do the ODOT project and everything, no, then we would not be able to do the Miracle Lane project. And you folks that have been in the parks recently, you know how bad that road is. And if we were to tell ODOT that we don't want to do a project that we've been allocated funding for, it would be a serious detriment to us in the future if we go back for any money. Those projects would not come back. If we told them, no, we don't want that project, those projects would not come back. So we would not get the improvement. We would not get the traffic light at Ranch Road and 303. The square would have to be put off until the next cycle of funding. The State Route 14, resurfacing all 6 lanes from basically from Market Square out to the Turnpike. I don't know when that would come back up in the cycle. So I mean, there are things that are dictated to us by ODOT, because we are at the mercy of their timing and their cycling. And, the 303 at Diagonal project, the reason why that project came about is because over the years, we've had multiple fatalities down there, even a couple in the last few years, because it's a dangerous intersection. And, thankfully, we didn't have to pay for the improvements that were made on Falcon Hill. But since they've made the improvements, put the decel lanes and the turn lanes and stuff, we haven't been up there for a serious accident. And, for all these years, we have, because we didn't have the funding, because we only had a 1% income tax, we neglected all of these road projects. So we aggressively went after them, and thankfully, most of them we were approved for because we had not received funding for them before. And now, if we go in and tell them, well, we don't want that project, then when it comes to get another project or to reschedule that project, it'll take another 5 or 6 years for that project to get back in the cycle, if they award it to us at all.
Did anybody say we were going to turn down funding from ODOT? I'm confused.
No, Matt was just saying, look, it's a lot to take on. If you're going to also add Miracle Lane to that, remember, you've got all these ODOT projects.
Right.
Well, we were kind of unfairly, I think the issue should be, do we want the income long-term or do we want it short-term? I don't think we need to take the next step and be like, oh, Daddy, we're going to buy a really nice shiny car with it. We should take the money. We shouldn't even be thinking about what we're spending it on. We should be thinking what's fiscally responsible as fiduciaries for the city.
But that's not what's happening.
That isn't what's happening. What we're doing is we're like, we need Miracle Lane and we need this money now. We don't need it right now. And I think then we shouldn't be spending so much on all these projects. If we have to sell off our land to pay for it.
It was an opportunity, Mr. Mishak, that was put forth to us.
I understand it. I'm not faulting you for it. It's just reasonable minds can disagree. I just think it's 14 years and it's over. If you told me I could make 18 to 25 grand a year for the next 100 years, I'm taking that all day long. And if they come up with some new whiz-bang technology, they're going to hang on there that gets us $1,200 a pop per user from Altel and all these companies, and all of a sudden we're making 50 grand a month off the tower. Or they come to us with an application and say we want to put a taller tower in that holds 10 times as many receptors. We're all out of luck once they're the owner and we're not the owner. Then they're going to have some federal law that says we can't stop them as a landowner. And right now we're the landowner, and that's why I think that's why they came to us to buy this. They know there's technological changes coming. It's advantageous for them to be the landholder, not a lessee, and it's worth it for them to be the landholder and then make their moves. And if I'm wrong, so be it. We get 20 grand a year. I mean, it goes up $2,250 every 5 years. It's an average of 20 grand a year. I'm glad we got mowers and stuff. I'll be honest, I'm not real concerned about Miracle Lane. If what I'm hearing from Matt, I want 43 and 14 to look good, and the roads people travel to work on, I'm not so concerned about little side streets and stuff. It's not even really a side street. It's just a convenience street.
Mr. Mayor.
And I don't think we should be we shouldn't be put in a position where if we don't accept this, we're not going to be able to do this. Well, then we need to make some cuts. Like, it doesn't make sense to me that we are giving up guaranteed income for life that can only get more expensive. for a 14-year guarantee.
But it's not a guaranteed income for life. What happens if they come out with the technology and they get rid of the cell towers, which is totally within the realm of possibility? Then we get nothing. Okay. Then we get nothing.
That's true.
And you know, you're talking 15 years down the road. And you're saying, well, if they put more of this on, what happens if they take the tower completely off? What happens if Verizon says, you know what, I am no longer going to put cell towers up. We're going to do fiber optic, and we're going to put individual ones on little towers. Then we have nothing. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Entangled qubits, right? That's coming next.
Well, I mean, you're offering these suppositions that this is a guarantee for life. It's not a guarantee. Nothing is guaranteed in life. Nothing is guaranteed in life.
I'm just not comfortable giving it up. What I'm not comfortable doing is giving up. This should be a decision for future generation, not for us to take. I see it, me personally. We're taking away their income. This is like some kid that's going to deaf or intermediate right now that's going to be sitting up here on this council. It's going to be like, man, we just lost 28 grand a year because we would have had that money and now we get nothing. And they're making $120,000 a month on this new whiz-bang qubit tower that's down there, and we don't get any of it. Because Mishniaks was president, and he signed off on a piece of legislation that stole my rights away. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's guaranteed income. It's guaranteed. It's coming in at least for the next 15 years. And we're giving it up for what? For Miracle Lane? It's just silly to me, personally. I'm like, I'm more for the status quo. It is a bird in the hand. We're getting... That's a lot of money. I mean, I'd rather buy mowers and stuff with it. It's a park fund too. I really don't see the roads within the parks as, I understand it's in the park, but that should be coming from somewhere else that we come up with road improvements. I think this money should be used to, give them the materials they need to maintain the parks. And this is a good source of income. We don't have many sources of income like this in the city. And we're going to just give it up. I just don't feel like it's ours to give up. I feel like that's for future generations to decide what they want to do with that tower. Because really, they're buying the right to any... The property tax is going to be nothing. I don't know. It's just how I feel. I think reasonable minds can disagree. I'm not faulting anybody or saying they're wrong. I just feel fiduciary-wise, I'm not comfortable giving it up. But everybody's got a price. Price goes up. I don't know. It's a good first offer, tell them. I negotiate for a living. This is just step one, period. We don't need this deal. They need this deal. We don't. We're in a strong...
What do I do?
Well, I'm still confused on that. In the thing that was presented to us, it said, we could use this for Miracle Lane. But I'm kind of getting the impression that even if we did sell this, we might not even be able to do Miracle Lane. Would that money just sit there until we had enough extra? And I know that's probably a question for you.
As an example.
No, I get it. No, I see it. I'm just wondering, I like that idea because it's been presented and I think it would improve our park, but if the idea is to pave Miracle Lane, and you're kind of saying we might not even be able to because of other projects, I guess kind of clarify that for me.
I guess what I'm referring to, just based on the current plan, the current cash flows, the current outflows, we're not projecting to do anything. We wouldn't be able to do anything on Miracle Lane until 2026. Now, one thing I've learned, that things change all the time. There's going to be more deals like this that'll come up and different things. But what I'm saying, what's on my radar as a finance director is I've got a lot of ODOT next year. And to me, ODOT is very important. Just like the mayor said, we don't want to turn down ODOT funding because believe me, they fund the majority of it. And so what I'm saying to council is based on the current plan, 2025, I couldn't tackle Miracle Lane with our current funds.
Even with
the money, you couldn't.
With the sale, it would help, but I'm basing I wish the engineer was here. The numbers I got early in the year was about 440 to do Miracle Lane. Now, whether we just do in front of the community center, do it in stages, that's kind of an engineering, would need commentary from them. I'm merely looking at it from the money side, and this is the only income that really comes into the 403. And so that's a consideration. But if council said, well, we'll just pay Miracle Lane next year, what I'm saying is, no, we couldn't.
Okay.
So we're not paying Miracle Lane for a while. We get it. Like I said, back to, do we want to have long-term income, or do we want to have a chunk of change up front? I mean, that's the real, where reasonable minds disagree. It's just a matter of how you feel about it. I like that 20 grand a year coming in. I feel comfortable with it. 10 years, it's 200,000. 15 years, it's what they've already just offered us. Like to give up the next 85 years after that. That's me, though. I don't know, you guys decide for your own selves.
Okay.
It's like we're leaning towards status quo.
All right. So it looks like from what I'm seeing, the majority of council does not want to move forward at this time with the Tom Chadwick Park cell tower site, 1 acre sale.
That's fine.
That's what I'm gathering.
Sounds good.
All right. Moving on.
I'd like to make a motion to add an executive session. Roll call, please. No, nothing.
Just a motion to add.
Just a motion to add.
I'll second the motion for purposes of employment.
So it's just an all
Roll
in
call.
favor to add.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, then we need a motion to recess if we're ready for that step.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to recess into executive session to consider the employment of a public employee.
Second the motion.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Glenn
Yes.
and Mr. Mishniak.
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Mr. Hannon.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes. All right, we are now in executive session.
Those two fund lines, the next two pieces, because they're
Convene from executive session. Roll call, please. Yeah, roll call.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yeah.
Mrs. McDaniel. Ms. Wagner. Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak. Mr. Lombardo.
Okay, 5, new business. Are you ready? Or you need a minute? Okay. A, liquor license request of Aldi.
Received this in the mail, and council needs to send it back saying whether they want to request a hearing on the topic or not.
Make a motion to not have a hearing and send it back.
Second.
First and a second to not have a hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. C, T7617, settlement and release for traffic control box. Mr. Knott.
This is crash number 1. The people that were granting a release crashed into a light pole at Market Square, and the signal service company who we employ estimated the damage repair at $10,468. And we're asking that you authorize the mayor to sign a release in exchange for the payment.
This is for the street light pole?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I made an error. Okay.
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. So that was for the traffic control box?
No.
Or that was for the street light? Okay. All right. Item C, T7617, settlement and release for traffic control box.
This is the traffic control box that was destroyed by the crash in the recent past. Signal service company estimated the damage at $83,856.
Plus the total car.
Yeah. And we want the authorization for the mayor to sign a release in exchange for payment of that amount.
No questions, I'll make a motion to move that to tonight's full council.
Second.
Motion and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none. Item D, T7618, contract with GLCAP for storm sewer GPS GIS mapping. Mr. Mayor.
This is the second portion of this. This is a no-cost contract for us. It would be being funded, I believe, by the feds. Well, Justin is on vacation, so he asked me to speak to it. This is just our second phase of the storm sewer GPS and the GPS mapping. And I just got to sign the contract for it, and it doesn't cost us anything.
All right.
I'm just curious what it's for.
For the storm sewers, so
do
that
they
we can
map it?
keep track of them.
Okay.
Just like we do with the water lines.
Okay.
In the past, they weren't always, they weren't as accurate with surveying as they are now. And in the past, a water line was supposed to be somewhere and it wasn't there. And when Jeff Willa was here, he went about making sure that they are where they are. And this is basically the same thing, is that when we have a situation, we will be able to pinpoint exactly where the storm sewers are.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's regular council meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Citizens' comments.
What you got, Matt?
Nothing? All right.
Live stream's going good?
7, announcements. A special finance committee meeting will immediately follow this meeting. 8, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. We are adjourned from service committee.
Ready? I'd like to call this special finance committee meeting of Monday, June 2nd to order.
June 2nd.
Or, sorry, June 10th to order. Yeah. Caroline, please call roll.
Mr. Hannan.
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Ms. Wagner. Mrs. McDaniel.
Present.
Ms. Glenn.
Here.
Mr. Ring.
Here.
Mr. Mishniak.
Here.
All right, item 3, special business, T7619, Layer 0 income tax sharing agreement. Mr. O'Malley.
Micah.
Better?
Yeah.
Thanks. You would think that button would be like within my arm's reach, but. Thank you, John. We've had a few discussions on sharing income taxes with Layer 0. Their leadership accepted the offering upon their return to Northeast Ohio after doing some traveling. You gave me the authorization to go up to a certain percentage threshold. The resulting deal that was accepted is well below that threshold. If Layer 0 obtained their goal of reaching 217 employees with 13.6 million in payroll, they would be Streetsboro's 4th largest employer by headcount. They also obviously provide some good economic diversification as something that would be high-tech adjacent, although not necessarily quite on software. That's also good for us. Are there any questions about this proposal in front of you?
I have none.
Good job.
Thank you.
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's council meeting.
Second.
First, second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that is moved. Item 4, announcements, regular council meeting will immediately follow this meeting. Second to adjourn. Second, first and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.
Good. I'd like to call this regular council meeting of Monday, June 10th, 2024 to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hannan.
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Ms. Wagner.
Here.
Ms. McDaniel.
Present.
Ms. Glenn.
Here.
Mr. Ring.
Here.
Mr. Mishniak.
Here. First item on the agenda is disposition of minutes, public hearing of May 20th, 2024, marijuana dispensaries, and the regular council meeting minutes of May 20th, 2024.
Motion to dispose of said hearings and accept the minutes.
Second.
First and a second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, they are accepted and disposed of. Item 4 is citizen comments. Hearing none. Item 5, reports, communications from department, boards, and commissions. We start on the right with the chiefs and the chief wannabe. Wow. Chief hopeful, chief in waiting. All right, you got anything from Trish or no?
No, other than, as was acknowledged by council at the beginning of the meetings, that A9 Reno did pass away this past week, which was a shock.
Do you know what happened, or?
Right now, he hadn't been eating, and his handler, Aaron, took him to the vet, and they did MRI, X-ray, didn't find anything, but they took blood, and when we got the blood results back on Friday, it wasn't good. He had several issues going on. His liver enzymes were not good, and I believe he also had some type of cancer that they detected, and Aaron was going to take him to the vet to have him put down, and he passed away in the back of the cruiser.
Before he even made it there?
Right.
Oh, that's too bad.
So we had to deal with that. We also had a training last week that was sponsored or brought in by FLETC, Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. We brought a tactical medical training class in that it was an instructor's course that was co-hosted with us with the schools, and taught our officers, and one of the school staff members, how to apply tourniquets, different methods to stop bleeding, apply chest seals, things during a critical incident that might come up. So we hosted that last week. That was a big success.
Very good.
Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. Chief Reinholz.
The American Heart Association gave us a recognition of achievement award for our successes with our full arrests and our cardiac cases. We've been doing a lot of extrication cars, the jaws. We're purchasing some tools in the future, so we're bringing in all the vendors and we're tearing up cars in the back. The new engine, which we were supposed to get in May, then postponed to July. Now we're talking about August, or I should say October. We're getting ready to sell one of our engines, but it has a leaking booster tank. That's what carries water. So we had to put it on a trailer, take it down to West Virginia, and have it fixed. And it came back today. So we're going to get that in shape to sell it, and I'll bring in the council, the vendor, the dealer, Brindle Lee Mountain, when we're ready to go. We've been very busy with fires, small fires in the city, but big fires, mutual aid. All these, they hit a gas line, talk about marking lines. So we were there for a major gas leak. And we hired our full-time firefighter, paramedic. He's doing well, and we're going to renew our list, National Testing Network, effective today, to get another entrance exam list. So if we have any other openings, we'll be able to hire. And that's about it. And still waiting for parts for our air conditioner at the station. And that's it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Knott, anything?
I have nothing to add.
Thank you. Greg?
Yeah, so this is the start of Safety Land this week. So our 4 and 5-year-olds, pre-kindergartens, are going through safety education with the police and fire, and some other guest speakers that we have. It's the second week of our summer camp programs, and I believe this is our last upcoming weekend for our major tournament that we run with Solon Stampede. So they'll be coming in. We're using the fields for this weekend. And then maybe we'll slow down a little bit, but we'll see. Up next is pool certification, licenses, and trainings so we can get ready for Splash Pad.
All right, thank you. Patrick?
It's been a few years since we last talked about this, but my projects are slow. We talked extensively in the past about unveiling a new economic development tool called PACE. Most of my tools are great for when somebody's building something from the ground up. Doesn't do anything if you already own the building and need to make some improvements to it. We've talked in the past about upgrading the lighting at the service garage. However, the one hurdle that we have to overcome in order to get PACE done is that we have to borrow the money. Billy's got this pegged at what is it, Billy, $2.5 grand?
Yeah, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, it's a very small amount, and getting a loan for that amount is harder than you would think.
Borrow it from ourselves?
No, that's not a loan. I've looked at that, and no. So tomorrow, I think that we've finally gotten to a point with the Port Authority where we can just borrow it from them, pay them a small amount of interest, and say, hey, we'll pay you back tomorrow if you want, but just let me borrow the money, because everybody else wants to lock us in for a very long time, and I don't really want to do all of that. And secondly, so more to come on that, but just so it's not a surprise. And secondly, the guy who owns Popeyes has contacted me about a ribbon cutting. He says July 1st. I don't know, but this is what he has said. We've heard that before.
Thank you. John?
Andre did confirm via text that he'd be available next Monday at 6.
Thank you. Shauna, anything?
No, I have nothing.
Miller and Miller, the law firm?
Water meter project's going well. We're down to the last 1,200 meters, basically. So we're well on our way. We're still hoping probably mid-July the target date now. It moved back a little bit.
Oh, we had ours done finally. I was one of the holdouts.
Yeah. We're on to the last
But
holdout. We're starting to go
it was on time and on target, and everything went fine, so.
Good.
But 1,200 isn't that like 20% of the project still?
There was a little over 5,000 to start.
Yeah, so that's.
I was late.
Yeah,
too, though.
That's, and
A lot of
yeah, but
these,
I thought we had to be
There's
done
a bunch of
by.
those holdouts that just
the
wait.
June 30th is the deadline, but we're looking like we're going to be a few weeks past. But most of them are commercial.
I thought we had an issue though to where if they're passed, we have no way to bill them because that software's gone.
We're billing out at the end of June.
Yeah, so if they don't have it switched by then, the first few weeks of July until they get it switched, we won't have a way to bill them.
Yes. No, I can bill out at the end of, it ends July 1st. The software issue ends July 1st.
Yeah, but if we don't change people's meters until July 15th, how do we bill them?
We can bill, as long as I get the bills, we read before July 1st. So we're going to read at the end of
No,
June.
to send the bill out, but what I'm saying is the people who don't have their meters changed until July 15th, how are we going to charge them for usage if we don't have the usage?
You're misunderstanding. Our software is good until July 1st. So when we bill out the June 30th, when we bill before July 30th, all of our bills will go out.
Understood.
So,
but I was under the impression because the old software is going to be gone.
It's going to be gone, and we won't.
You still have a way to read the meters?
No, this will be the last time of reading those meters.
So if I have an old meter and I use water from July 1st to July 15th, and I get my new meter, how are you going to read what I use?
If you have, if I on the old meter, you're saying? If you called for a final read, then I would go out and get that read.
But if
Are you going to take a manual read off of the meter then if you're past June 30th?
Once the software's done, I can, but we're
Right, so-
everybody's getting billed out as normal right now.
Right, so if you have 500 people as of June 30th that haven't had their meter switched out, are you going to take a reading when you switch the meter out, whether that's July 15th,
Or
July
September.
30th? Yeah, or September.
Anytime there's a meter change out, the reads.
Okay, so you're just going to manually enter it, correct?
Yes, we will not lose any. We're on target. Most of them are commercial, which they're starting to get into them fast. So we're still okay. Everybody will be billed.
So we'll be able to determine what the usage is even after we're off the old system for the old meters.
Yes, because we have the final read.
And then you'll take another read when we replace it.
Yeah, at the end of the meter, you'll have that read, and then the new meter will read everything after that. Yes, like we're doing now, basically.
Okay. And then we manually enter it to the new system.
Then they manually enter it, and you have 2 lines on your bill.
That's what I was getting at. Thank you.
Yes. Sorry for the confusion.
Yeah, thank you.
Money Matt.
So we filed our 2023 financials with the state by the deadline with the help of our accounting firm. So we are not on extension, and we'll be using those financials when we go to the bond market. So I was really happy to get our accounting firm get going. That way, with the timing of going before bond, that we will have those 2023 financials, because those look better than the 2022 financials. So that was a good thing. That was filed about 10 days ago. And then the next large item is on July 8th, we'll be bringing the 2025 tax budget for the county to council to pass on emergency. And that will be dispersed soon.
Very good. All right, next item on the agenda is introduction of legislation containing statement of emergency.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules of 3 readings for T7615, T7616, T7617, T7618, and T7619.
Second.
First and a second to suspend the 3 readings rule. All in favor?
No, we need a,
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call.
Mr. Ring.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes. All right, those are suspended. T7615, purchase and upfit replacement Tahoe. Please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract or contracts without competitive bidding with Ganley Chevrolet of Aurora LLC, Hall Public Safety Company, Inc., and Graphic Expressions, Inc., for the purchase, upfitting, and vehicle graphics of 1 replacement vehicle for use by the police department, and declaring an emergency in order to accept time-sensitive proposals.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
First and a second to adopt the legislation. Roll call, please.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel? Yes. Ms. Wagner? Yes. Mr. Mishniak?
Yes. T7615 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-87. T7616, settlement and release for street pole. Read by title, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a release related to property damage to a streetlight pole in the amount of $10,468 and declaring an emergency in order to repair the light pole in an expeditious manner.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
First and a second to adopt the legislation. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel? Yes. Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes. T7616 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-88. T7617, settlement and release for traffic control box. Read by title, please.
It's an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a release related to property damage to a traffic box in the amount of $83,856 and declaring an emergency in order to repair the traffic control box in an expeditious manner.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
First and a second to adopt the legislation. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes. T7617 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-89. T7618, contract with GL Cap for storm sewer GPS and GIS mapping. Read by title, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Great Lakes Community Action Partnership to map the city of Streetsboro's storm sewers and declaring an emergency in order to commence delivery of professional services as soon as possible.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
First and a second to adopt the legislation. T7618.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes. T7618 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-90. T7619, Layer 0 Income Tax Sharing Agreement. Read by title, please. 7619.
Ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an economic incentive agreement between the city of Streetsboro and Layer 0 to create new jobs and income tax revenue and declaring an emergency to expedite the agreement.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
First and a second to adopt the legislation. Roll call, please.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel? Yes. Ms. Wagner? Ms. Ring? I'm sorry, Mr. Ring?
Yes.
And Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
And Mr. Mishniak?
Yes. T7619 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-91. Items up for first reading, there are none. Items up for second reading, there are none. Items up for third reading is one item, T7599, zoning text amendments relating to marijuana dispensaries and establishments selling unregulated psychoactive substances.
So, this is an ordinance amending sections 1103.02, 1132.02, and 1151.32 of Title V, Part 11, Planning and Zoning Code of the Codified Ordinances relating to regulation of marijuana dispensaries and establishments selling unregulated psychoactive substances.
We need a motion to adopt. Is there one?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
First and a second to adopt the legislation. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner? Yes. Mr. Ring?
Yes.
Mr. Hannan?
Yes.
Mrs. McDaniel? Yes. Mr. Mishniak?
Yes. T7599 passes and now becomes ordinance number 2024-92. The next item up on the agenda is Mayor Broska's report. Mr. Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mishniak. If you recall, well, I know you do recall, we're going to be adding an SRO at the beginning of the 2024-2025 school year. And with that came about the need to have a vehicle for this person, and it's a him, so I'll say for him. And we did not want to invest in a brand new Explorer and an upfitting and all that stuff, because basically this car is going to be used to go back and forth from the police station over to the campus. So I reached out to Great Lakes Hyundai and talked to the general manager and said, I need a favor. Would you guys consider donating a vehicle to be used for our SRO? I says, it doesn't necessarily have to be a new vehicle. It's not going to have that many miles put on it. And we're not going to fully upfit it like we do our other cars. Basically, we're going to put a light on it and some graphics, basically, is what it is. And this morning, Bill, the general manager, called me and says, yeah, Joey says, fine. They have a 2019, was it Tucson? 2019 Tucson with 55,000 miles on it. It's black already, and we will be bringing forth legislation on the 24th to accept a donation of this vehicle from Great Lakes Hyundai.
Nice.
And we really appreciate it.
Awesome.
So that's what I got.
So just out of curiosity, when this officer in the summer, aren't we going to be putting him on the road?
Yeah, but
will he be using a regular cruiser?
Oh yeah, he would be using a regular cruiser.
Are we allowed to say who the officer is, or?
Pardon me?
Are you allowed to say who the actual officer is? Are we allowed?
I think we're okay.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, it's going to be Officer Sheldon.
Oh, Sheldon's.
Not Sheldon like on Big Bang, but not
Shetler.
Shetler, not Shetler.
Shetler.
Sorry, Shetler, sorry. Yeah, I missed that.
Okay.
Dan Shetler.
And he was interviewed by the school and by us, and he had previous experience as an SRO,
He
correct?
did. He came to us from Canal Bolton. He filled in for a time with them, so he brought some of that experience to his interviews. Correct.
Well, in the summertime too, they take their vacations, they have training that they have to go to, so they'll be able to be used sporadically on the road, but it will give us, will give us some time on the road, and we're just waiting to hear back now. We sent over a contract with the schools, and we're waiting to hear back from them to make sure everything's copacetic.
Good. All right, anything else? No? All right. Next item on the agenda is President of Council comments. I have no additional comments tonight, so we'll move on to council member comments. We'll start with Mary Ann.
No comments tonight.
Oh, on the announcement, yeah. All right, Jennifer. Go.
Thank you.
All right, John.
No comments.
All right, Lisa.
I have comments. Happy Flag Week. I don't know if everybody knows, but I like historical facts, and I'm going to share with you. This Friday, June 14th, is Flag Day. Every year, June 14th is Flag Day because our Second Continental Congress adopted our flag on June 14th, 1777, during the Revolutionary War. And I thought this was really interesting that our current American flag, it was designed by a fellow Ohioan. His name was Bob Heft, and even though Bob's history teacher gave him a B- for not knowing how many states the Union had, Bob submitted his design to the White House unprompted in anticipation of Hawaii and Alaska joining the Union. So he was ahead of the game and he designed the flag that we now have. To his surprise, President Eisenhower called him, and today, Bob Heft's 1958 design, which shows 50 stars in a field that includes 5 rows of 6 stars and 4 rows of 5 stars, is our American flag. And of course, his teacher changed his grade to an A. And so I just wanted to remind everybody that this is Flag Week, Flag Day, and to remember what our flag stands for, and think about our nation's history. It's important to remember.
Very cool. Thank you. Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Mishniak. First, I want to say thank you to the mayor for reaching out to Hyundai to obtain that vehicle, and I'm excited about the SRO program, so thank you for that. And to the police department, my thoughts and prayers are with the police department during this time. The canine officer is not just a canine, but an officer, and it's part of the family. And I just want to say that I'm very sorry, and please pass that along to the officers.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Justin.
Thank you. I would like to say that along previous comments that today is National Iced Tea Day. So let's enjoy iced tea.
Yeah, they told me that this morning.
No, I think.
Good. All right, then let's on to announcements. City Hall, unless there's something else. Everybody's good? Okay. City Hall will be closed on Wednesday, June 19th, 2024, in observance of the national holiday of Juneteenth. Meeting packets will be distributed the following day. There will be a public hearing, tax budget, a finance committee meeting, and a regular council meeting on Monday, June 24th, 2024, starting at 7 p.m. here in council chambers. And council has added a work session to its service committee meeting agenda in regards to the nuisance laws of the city. That will be held on Monday, June 17th, 2024, from 6 to 8 p.m. here in council chambers. That was service committee, right? Mm-hmm. That didn't come out of safety. And that's it. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. You wanted a roll call. I thought you were a no. Go back. Look at it's off.
So, this is what we think. Let's use this.
Doesn't matter.